I'm Lorence. My real name is Lauren. Don't really care which one I go by, but a lot of people just happen to know me as Lawrence. So that's probably how you know me. I run or had run a lot of TFT tournaments. Probably will still continue to run them, but have taken a small step back while I work an esports job. I'm super grateful for that and have been enjoying it a lot. That's kind of what I do right now. But in the past, what brings me to this tournament is I really like to do things competitively, and I've done a lot of League of Legends, even though it's lower rank. I had done that for quite a while, for over 4 years of just playing amateur, and really enjoyed myself. Then got into running events, so I was like, I'll put that to the wayside. And then I finally had taken a step back from that, and then I'm feeling good about this set, so I was like, you know what? Let's give this a shot. So if I get in here, and maybe I won't have enough time to prep as much as I would like, but I'm pretty excited about that aspect of playing against some pretty good players. This would be the first time I've actually played in a event with like over $50 of prize pool. I've played in a couple events where it's just like, here's some money, or here's hanging out, let's hang out and play TFT together in an organized fashion. I've always like, hey, I'll just help you with this event. If it's boys, I'll just help him with it. I'm not going to bother. I don't need to play. Maybe this is a good coinciding of, let's see how this feels.
You mentioned not being able to prepare maybe as much as you'd like. How do you go about, like, what's your game plan to prepare for an event like this, never having kind of stepped into this tournament setting before?
I think what I'm going to end up doing, if I happen to make it and then also get on broadcast, you can expect me to be spamming a reroll comp of some form. You will see me rolling it down and getting gold units more often than not. And if I'm not doing that, you're probably going to see me go 6th or lower. It's just really enjoyable to me. It's my comfort zone, and it allows me, when I'm playing in ranked, I will continually play the same thing over again and can experiment with what's for Vanguard, like what's for Bastion, like what are these things that are like tangential to what the normal comp is. I'll caveat this by mentioning again that like I've done like a lot of competitive thinking about how to properly set up tournaments and like what's good for players and what feels good for competitive players at a high level when you're playing in those moments, and have talked to a lot of people in those moments and heard a lot of feedback on what feels good. So while I might not be the highest rank, I do have a relatively good read on what feels good and what can help people play competitively. And I feel like charms are actually, with some egregious ones, like Desperate Plea, shouting that one out, that one's a little messed up, I'll say. You can have a lot of skill expression of what am I looking for, and finding that thing that will really push you for that one round, or maybe it's a permanent buff, but like you can find that little thing that'll give you a little boost above that's what you need, and it feels very versatile. I think that charms are pretty good addition competitively. Like I think that it really, I won't even say warps, it just like it changes the game in a positive way overall, especially like even early game. I know you're not going to be able to roll and find too many, but I think you can really go, do I need this win streak, do I need this loss streak, I'm going to buy something there. Or mid game you're like, do I need to keep my win streak, I should roll for a charm that costs gold. And it's a lot of thought process that goes on, and there's a lot of big brain moments that you can really bring out. I'm a big fan of how it's looking.
Yeah, I've had a couple of games where, in retrospect, I've thought like, man, I was, trying to save, for an econ threshold or something like that, and it's like, late stage 5, early stage 6, and I didn't want to spend maybe like 10 gold looking for the charm that might have like won me around or something like that and saved me a placement. Those little mistakes, right? You don't necessarily think it's a mistake. Like, what if I roll 10 gold and I don't see a good charm, right? Like, there's a gamble in it, but like, that's literally every time I roll, right? Is a certain amount of gambling, whether it's looking for a unit or looking for a charm. My thought at a certain point was, well, how is this that much different from headliners, right? Like, you're rolling down, you're looking for that specific thing that you need. But you kind of nailed it in that, like, it's a nudge, right? It's not a 2-star version of an amped up. What's that?
And half the time it's temporary,
right?
Too.
Yeah. Or it's like, you might get 2 gold, or you might get 6 gold, or you might get 1 gold, or whatever, right? But it's these small nudges that aren't huge impacts on the game, but they are huge impact round to round. And I think it's very interesting, taking basically concepts from other parts of the game, repurposing them, throwing a cool name on it, and saying, oh, like, here's a little variance. We've heard you guys complaining for years about
variant.
huge variance. Here's a little variance, right? But it's going to cost you
Mm-hmm.
something. And I think it's really cool as well. What is your goal now in the TFT space? Like, do you maybe want to angle towards playing more competitively, or are you still looking to maybe jump back in the future into, esports organization, TOing, or even having your own esports org, I'll ask.
Mm-hmm. I think this. So that's a for the last part. I'm not going to answer that question because
All right.
there's some fun stuff I'm talking with people about how to do what I should be doing.
Mhm.
Because there's obviously I really like it. Like I have a job doing it, and then my home is in TFT, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Especially with how good this set's feeling. It's like I started getting to play more, and like this is the game that I like and why I've been
Mhm.
playing since launch. I've been playing this game hundreds of games a set every single set since launch, and this feels like that again. Even though I took like the last set off, but how I'm looking at myself and my way forward in this is like this is by far the best. I am the best at this game compared to any other game I've ever played. One thing I gotta ring the bell on too is like there's a lot of people that are like master and it feels like, oh, I'm trash, but it's like, again, you're top lower than 1% at times by just hitting master alone, and that's like near 1 million players, and you're better than that many of them. That's a large number that you're better than, and it's something to keep in mind, and like thinking about that. I'm like, I do have an opportunity to get even a little bit better, and I'd really like to try and hit GM, if not this set, then in a near set, and having that time to kind of play competitively and push towards that is a really big goal of mine, and I really want to hit that in a healthy way. I think in the past I've really tried to push for rank and like get really angry about it, and everyone's got that feeling of like, this game sucks, and you get too sucked into it. But it's like you have to have that healthy balance of making sure you can take some time off and refocus. So I'm really looking to like make it a healthy push while balancing a lot of different things in my life, and it feels like this is a good opportunity to do that. And so the blunt answer is I really want to hit GM.